Tiana. Hey, No Press fan, you know what time it is? Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Beatdown, the channel where two worlds collide. I am your host, Class, and this is my co-host, Big. Doing it big, baby. And a friendly reminder, if you guys like our content, you know what you can do? You can share, subscribe, or you can turn on your notification to get the latest episodes. Yeah, and without any further ado, today's combatants are shapeshifters, and they're entering our realm. And I'll be representing Marvel Comics' Mystique.
Teach you, my young avalanche.
Now, there isn't actually an origin story to be specific on how Mystique came to be, which is why she got the name Mystique. But let's go with the basic origins that we do know about her. So, let's talk about her first love being Irene Adler, aka Destiny. Now, Irene Adler was a mutant who could see into the future, and this was during the early 1900s. So they worked together and then they fell in love, sure enough. Yes, Mystique goes and swings both ways. Isn't that fascinating? Years go by, I think decades or centuries, I don't really know. But years go by and eventually Mystique happens to get two baby daddies. Now, one of the baby daddies, I'll probably show you a picture of that character right there, actually didn't even know that it was Mystique the whole time. She actually shaped it into something else so that way, you know, I guess they could have a baby at some point, and eventually she wound up having a baby with this character, but unfortunately she didn't like the baby because it was human, so she just abandoned her child. Ain't that crazy? And that baby, the first baby, was Graydon Creed. That was the first baby she abandoned who was human, so yeah, and there's a whole story about him. Now, the second baby daddy actually tricked her into having a baby because, well, he wanted someone who could handle giving birth to a child that he, you know, puts in them, I guess, so to speak, in a most delicate manner. And she was the perfect match for that. And when she found out that her baby had blue skin, she decided to drop that baby into a lake because she knew she couldn't get him to go anywhere because he's made of blue skin. So, and that baby was Nightcrawler. Alright, so let's get into the powers that she has, shall we? She might be immortal. She's lived for a very long time, so immortality is a possibility. She's lived since the 1900s and so on before then. So who knows how old Mystique is and how long she can actually last. Another ability she has is that she has Oscar-level actress ability. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's be clear. When she shifts into anybody, she doesn't obtain those people's thoughts or history or memories, none of that. So she has to improvise and pretend to be those people. So even though she shifts into these people, she has to pretend and act like she is that person, even though she's probably never experienced their life or have anything to do or have any clue of what their history is about. So, and she's actually tricked a lot of people for years doing that. She's also even played a scientist, and that's another level of intelligence, to be playing that and to be smart enough to be acting like, you know, she's very good at improvisation. So that's what I mean by Oscar-level actressing. Okay, so let's talk about what she can shift into. She can shift into people. She can shift into things. There was one time when there was an explosion, she was trying to escape. She turned into and shifted into a sheet of paper so she can flow away. That is crazy. On top of that, she can alter her size. That's right, she can get big and she can get small. In the old X-Men comics, they don't mention that, but in the current one, they do. She can get bigger and she can go microscopic. So that's very intimidating in itself. On top of that, she can also, sad to say, Beast Boy, she can also turn into animals. So, yeah, she's got your number there. So here's some special things you probably didn't know. Mystique actually has super strength. Yeah, those muscles, if she shifts her muscles even getting bigger, they actually do back it up. They do get stronger. So her strength-wise, she was able to toss Sabretooth out of a window and grab a kick from him. And he's pretty damn strong. So as far as strength-wise, she has... No matter, I just can't, I just see this going in her favor in that essence. On top of that, she has a healing factor. As long as there's nothing really, as long as it's non-lethal of an injury, she'll be fine. Non-lethal meaning that there's a puncture to the organ or something like that. She can handle cut skins and so on, like bruises in here and there. She'll be able to heal herself. Not in these fast speed like Wolverine, but heal herself nonetheless. Alright, so right off the bat, Mystique has more powers and abilities than Beast Boy does. Okay, so sadly, being able to turn into an animal isn't really gonna be enough to take Mystique. Now, why do I say that? Well, let's face the facts. If Mystique has been here longer, that means she has some knowledge, which means she's much more wiser. She's much more knowledgeable in the world and in everything in general. So the longer she's been here, the more knowledge she's obtained, which means that any given situation where the Beast Boy decides to shift into anything, any kind of animal, Mystique will be able to kind of be much more faster, more quick wit with it, because she's much more knowledge, much more older. So she knows how to switch it up a lot faster. She probably knows what to counter with, so on and so forth when it comes to shapeshifting. She's been shapeshifting longer than Beast Boy has. Let's just put it at that. So that upper wisdom is gonna take effect when it comes to the animal shifting ability. Whether he turns into a bear, she could turn into a T-Rex. If he turns into a bird or something like that, she could turn into something else, like a snake. I don't know. But regardless, either way, whatever the counterpoint might be, animal-wise, she's going to be able to top him every single time because she's much more knowledgeable in that. Now, let's not forget, she doesn't need to shift into an animal. She could just go bigger or smaller if she wants to. She can go microscopic and run around him, or, you know, mess with him at that point, at that level. She can go huge. Even if he becomes a T-Rex, she'll be probably bigger than the T-Rex. On top of that, don't forget the super strength. Even if she doesn't alter her size, she still has super strength. She still probably could take on a bear. She probably could take on a rhino. She could probably take on an elephant with her strength. So I don't think any kind of animal is going to be strong enough to take on Mystique's super strength. Also, she can alter her clothing because everything she wears she makes herself. So if she gets into a situation in the battle she can always use as defense, she can create a suit of armor in her body while she's being attacked by any kind of animal that's coming her direction in that essence. Out of desperation, well, there's one thing Mystique could do. She has done it in the comics. She could pretend to be a little girl. She can shift into a little girl and say, this is my true form to Gar, or if you want to call him Beast Boy, and tell him this is my true form. And Beast Boy, let's get real, Gar has a sensitive side, a soft side, so he might be easily influenced by this nature. He has a sensitivity to animals, or empathy for animals. I think he also has empathy for little girls. So if this little girl pretends to act like this is truly her form, and Beast Boy kind of gets psyched out, she just needs to get close enough where she can grab him, then turn into a giant spider, and then catch him in a web. Either that's just one example of how she can catch him close up and out of nowhere, psyching him out. So bottom line, Beast Boy is still a boy. Mystique is a well-trained assassin with a lot of years of experience, and she's been out for a long time. As long as there is no organ being penetrated, she will be able to go all day, and ultimately resulting in her victory, leaving Beast Boy to shame. Not just yet, my guy. My boy still has a shot at winning this. And I'll be representing DC Comics' Beast Boy. Alright, so let me give you a quick backstory about this character, shall we? Garfield Logan, aka Gar, lived in West Africa with his mother and father. His father was Mark Logan, who was a biological researcher. And he was doing research on trying to figure out if he could find a way to bring dinosaurs back, in an essence. So he started working on a formula using science. Due to his obsession, he neglected his loved ones, including his wife and his son. Because of that, it resulted in his son actually getting a disease illness that could not be cured. Luckily, his father finally finished with his research, but it was already too late. His son was dying. So in order to save his son, he used the formula he created to inject his son. And that's where we get our origin story of our creation of Beast Boy. So his father created him, saved his life. Actually, there's a lot of technical to it. Apparently it was a rare disease that only monkeys could survive. And that's why he injected him with that. And then Gar turned into a monkey for 24 hours, and that's how he cured himself. So it's a really fascinating tale about how he came to be. Now, let me give you some little interesting fun facts. He didn't start in the Teen Titans. No, that's not where he started. He started in Doom Patrol. All right, so let me give you the basic rundown of who Gar is. Gar does actually have skills in martial arts, and he was actually a TV star at one point. So he does have some experience in television and in acting. Another thing is his actual #1 gift, which is his heavy hitter, which is to be able to shift and alter his body into any animal he wants to. And he actually could obtain the powers of those animals to the animals well, just to be clear, he just needs to think this animal, okay? He doesn't actually need to, be next to the animal or touch the animal. He just needs to think what the animal is, and then he can turn it. As long as he memorizes it, he can think it, he can turn it into life, and he can obtain the powers of those animals. So that's pretty damn impressive. So how this plays out. When I mean animal, I don't mean only animals on Earth. I also mean animals from other planets, alien animals. So Gar has been around the block, I'm pretty sure, and he's seen some alien animals. So let me just say this. The super strength argument isn't going to be a really good argument because mystery-wise, we don't know what alien animals' strength levels are. They could be surpassed the Hulk. It could be less than the Hulk. Who knows? But the reality is we don't really know. So super strength-wise, I don't think Mystique is going to be able to use that strength to go against Gar, because Gar, Beast Boy, does have the ability to shift into an alien that we don't know strength level-wise what it can do. His acting history, I think, is going to actually play a favor in this, because if she does decide to use the little girl routine, I don't think he's going to fall for it. And which means, because due to his method acting, due to the fact that he was an actor, he probably knows how to sniff out actors and actresses. So when he sees a performance, he's not going to be dumb enough to go towards it. I think he's going to create the range and distance that he needs and not try to get suckered into that. Alright, so let's talk about speed-wise. He could shift into a bird that's the fastest bird they have. He can, for creating distance if he needs range. He can also shift into a ground animal that goes really fast as well, the fastest animal on the ground. He could do that too. He can always create the range as he's fighting this animal. Fighting Mystique. So he has an upper advantage in that way of keeping the distance if he needs to keep the distance. On top of that, he can also turn into not just like regular monkeys and stuff. He can turn into lizards. He can turn into a squid. So I gotta think that the lizard is going to play a factor. Now, if he can obtain the powers of the lizards, there are, I believe, certain particular lizards that actually can grow limbs back, or they can even also fix their broken bones. So I do believe those are going to play a factor in his abilities. He'll still be, even if he's in a fight and he's broken or injured or even dealing with any kind of damage whatsoever, he'll still be able to shift into a certain animal that could probably fix his bones right back into place, and then he can keep going a couple rounds with Mystique in that essence. Alright, so the name of the game is going to be pretty much getting the organs. So he's gonna have to, I think the moment is gonna come. I mean, them throwing down at one point, I feel like she's gonna leave a spot open for him to take an advantage of. Now, all he needs to do is dig either a claw or some choppers into her, and as long as he can hit that vital organ, he's in a solid way of winning this fight, no doubt about it. On top of that, let me just mention this. He can actually, if at a moment's notice, maybe he can catch her off guard and then turn into a tiny little creature and get inside her and then fight her within her. So she can't make it. All it takes is a one moment of psychological psych out. Maybe he throws like a big old boulder at her and she doesn't see it coming, and then she wonders where he went, and all of a sudden he decides to turn into a little microscopic animal and go and crawl up inside her, and then bam, like attack her organs within. As long as he can get a claw, as long as he can get a chompers in her, as long as he can get his teeth in her, or as long as he can get inside her and mess those organs up, again, the only way her healing factor works is if she gets a couple cuts. But inside organs, those important organs, like anything that she needs during a fight, she's not going to be able to heal those back. Those aren't going to be able to be healed. So those open wounds that he's going to do within her organs are going to do a lot of damage. Now, Beast Boy might not have more powers than Mystique, but the alien animals is gonna play a factor. The martial arts skills is gonna play a factor. Those two combined are gonna play a factor in this fight, which means ultimately that Mystique doesn't have a chance, and it will leave Beast Boy victorious. Alright guys, as always, it's not up to me, and it's not up to Biggs. It's up to you guys. So, if you guys liked my argument, you know what you can do? You can hashtag Mystique. And if you guys like my argument, you know what you can do? You can hashtag Beast Boy. And as always, No Press fam, we really appreciate you guys. Catch you guys later. Peace.